Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Divine Eye Racing Series. My name is Olaf, aka Bob's Racing, and tonight we'll take you on a trip to Portugal, where we have the Grand Prix of Portimão. Round 13 out of 14, the extended 2 from the original 12, with a short qualifying, 18 minutes for the drivers to put down their fastest laps, and then a nice 50% race, which should be 33 laps last time I checked. Now, for qualifying, it's going to be an interesting one, because last time around we had Abu Dhabi with a sprint race. So everyone going out on qualifying on those softs. But for today, some drivers might go out on the mediums. They might try out some new tires, might try out some new strategies. Maybe on this track we'll see medium runners, and we'll see some more, maybe more pits. It's been one stops from basically season start, season finish, and now we're looking at hopefully some more double stops, or maybe some more action. Everyone knows Portimão, lots of height difference, lots of elevation. You can see it here already with Cutthroat, the first driver out on track from the start already. You go down from the start finish line, and then there's a little hill in the first DRS zone where you go upwards, left-hander off, camber off, camber here as well as you go down. This is like the bumpy section that you go through, is going back up and then going back down through this bit right here, going into sector 3, extremely fast downhill part over there as well. So the elevation changes are really going to come into play today with the racing, and not just for qualifying, not just for racing, for qualifying as well, as I meant to say, because the fastest laps around here are not just for the drivers that can manage the corners the best or manage the traffic the best. It's also for those that can manage the elevation the best, and also the setup, because setup for this track is super important. You saw it already with the massive bump here from the start finish as Cutthroat is starting his lap going down into turn 1. The long DRS straight back there. Small increase of speed down there on the downhill going into turn 1. A little bit of yellow as sector 3. End of sector 2 actually. They're already backing up, drivers letting each other through. Besides the speed and besides the track, we of course have the standings. Yuri currently in first place with 286 points, overtaking Tronzik, who did not participate last time around. Now Tutschke is currently in third place with 200 points. Tronzik, by the way, has left the championship. He has done, I believe he's done 11 rounds, could not make the 12th round, and he's not making round 13 and 14 either, as Cutthroat has invalidated just now, which means that we are looking on to Jay Dennis to set the first timed lap, I believe. So we're gonna have to take a quick look at that, as I will pull up the lap data. Actually, I completely forgot to turn that one on. That's only gonna be a worry for later on. So Tronzik out of the competition, not racing anymore. So it's just currently Yuri in the lead with 86 points over Tutschke in third. Tronzik has still finished second or finished third, but will not be leading the championship at any point anymore. The gap is currently 86 points from Tutschke to Yuri. We calculated beforehand, and we calculated that Yuri had to get second place to win the championship. I just recalculated everything again, as Jay Dennis sets the benchmark of a 117.0. That's a pretty good lap, I gotta say. That is a pretty good lap. Remix currently on one as well, entering the final corner, which is, of course, again, a downhill. So there's a lot of grip going on in that sweeper there, as he puts it in second place with a 17.6, and Scottish right behind with a 17.2. And Tutschke in 17.2 as well. So the gaps aren't that big, which is an incredibly good thing to see. And Jan, Sparrow, and Shermanator all setting laps as well. 17.88 and 17.9. So this is, the gaps are very, very close everywhere on the grid. So this is really, really good. Back to the standings real quick. 86 points is the gap, as Yuri just puts in the fastest time of 16.7. 1 minute 16.7, and grabs provisional pole of Dennis in the Williams. And Villiers now in second place, very close behind, within a 10th of Yuri. So that is going to be a battle for pole position as well. And of course, qualifying shows a little bit of the race pace as well, which is going to make it interesting. Cutthroat invalidating again, so he might just go in and refresh his set of tires. Then we have Jack and Jaspars currently on a lap. So going to follow Jack as he makes it very squirrely. Commentator's curse at it again. Loses the rear almost, but keeps it on the track and can finish his qualifying lap, fortunately. So for this race, there are 32 points up for grabs for the race win, fastest lap, and the no penalty point rule, which is 32 points. For the sprint race, there are, for next weekend, we go to Japan, Suzuka, which is going to be a sprint race followed by a feature race, which is 10 points for the sprint race for the victory. Then 30 points again for the feature race, with those two added points for the fastest lap and no penalty points, which means there's 42 points up for grabs in Japan the next week. Because that means that if you grab today's points, add them to next week's points, you get 32 plus 42 is 74 points total that Tutski could grab if Yuri does not finish either race inside of the points. That would put Tutski to 274 points. 12 points behind Yuri. So that means that last weekend out in Abu Dhabi, with Tutski not receiving any points, that Yuri has won the championship. So the championship has been decided last week out in Abu Dhabi, which is something I completely overlooked. Did not pay any attention to. Completely slipped my mind. But the championship for the drivers has already been decided. If Yuri DNFs or finishes outside the points for 2 in a row, Spatty's going to set his lap. It's going to be 17.0. Very close as well. So the gaps are getting real tight down here. And Divine I was on not setting representative laps over a second off of the car in ahead. And Cutthroat as well with a 38.5. We've seen him make a few mistakes, and this might just be his warm-up lap to get the battery up and running again. So the Drivers' Championship has been decided last week in Abu Dhabi. Now, if we look at the Constructors' Championship, it gets a whole lot more interesting. Haas, last week, took first position off of Williams. 455 points to 421. That is 34-point difference for Haas advantage. Mercedes trails with 397. That's only 58 points behind Haas. Remember, for one driver, it's possible to score 74 points in these next two races. Today at Portimão and next week at Suzuka. Which means that Mercedes could potentially still win the championship. Ferrari in 4th place, 307 points, way behind. Are in a very close battle with Red Bull and McLaren. Only 13 points, I believe, separate Ferrari, Red Bull, and McLaren, the three of them. So that's a very tight battle. McLaren dropping down 2 positions, down to 6th now. Ferrari in 4th, Red Bull in 5th. So that's all very close as well. So it's all a very tight battle in different places in the championship. And that is mostly the constructors. But still, 2nd place up for grabs for Tutski. He needs 67 points, which is the majority out of today and next week. This weekend and next weekend. Or should I say Monday, because we race on Mondays. To overtake Tronzik. So Tronzik might have 2nd place in the bag. And if we look at the performance currently, Tutski in 6th place. 2 tenths behind Paddy and Dennis. Dennis putting in the what's the word? I'm completely forgetting all my words. The benchmark. There we go. He would start with a B. I just completely forgot. Tutski does get the DRS and the slipstream, I think, here from his teammate Divine Eye. Or he's being held up. We'll find out soon enough. But it looked like a bit of battling in between. And that's a touch between the teammates. And that is not a slipstream. That is not a slipstream. I completely forgot to look at the sector times because there was contact between the 2 Ferraris. And we'll see at the end of Sector 2 if that would have cost Tutski some time, but definitely not going to be happy with Divine Eye blocking his path there onto Sector 2. So that's a very big mistake there from Ferrari. Luckily, they still have 8 minutes to try for some more laps. But if this costs Dutchke time, that's going to lose him a set of softs. And here he goes. 9/10 deficit now. Divine Eye didn't even have his wing open. He was ahead at the start, so this must be miscommunication. Or it must have been a mistake from Divine Eye that he did not want to give up the lap just yet. So Dutchke now going over the line. 6th place currently. Is he looking to get his battery reset? No, he's going straight into the pits. And Divine Eye is going in as well. So that is a massive blunder from Ferrari as Dennis puts in the fastest lap. I completely missed that through all this chaos. A 16.7, a full 10th ahead of Yuri, who's currently in the pits. Currently, Tintenfish to make a very big jump there, invalidating his lap. Currently in 4th place. So Williams is fighting back hard. They need 34 points, more than Haas this weekend. Currently 2nd place for Yuri, but 9th for Scottish. So that's a big deficit currently in terms of finishing order. But of course, points aren't being given away in the qualification. Points are earned in the race. That's what we're going to have after this 18-minute session. Currently 6.5 minutes left. Tintenfish wants to do a lap, but is unfortunately invalidating his current one. So he'll have to go again. Servier, currently 3rd place, thinks he can do more. Rolling uphill into the first DRS zone of the lap. Almost a 10th faster. And this is exactly what he needs. 800ths to get Yuri. And 1800ths to get Dennis. It's all very tight up here at the top. And Servier is looking to maybe grab off that pole position from the usual suspects. Tintenfish now going into the pits after that invalidation. We'll have to go again a little bit later. Jack on a lap as well. Oh, Servier, half a 10th now. Faster than his previous lap. Which means he lost a little bit of time in Sector 2. But maybe there's room for improvement in Sector 3. Tight line into these corners. Final one currently. DRS detection zone right there. Which is going to be very interesting for the DRS games. That is a little bit after the part where you get the slipstream. And Villiers does improve, but just not enough. 300s behind Yuri, which is very, very unfortunate. Jack currently slower than his fastest lap, does slow down, and aborts his lap. Will go into the pits to take a quick reset as Sparrow is now the driver out on track, going for a faster time. 17.8 currently on the board. 1.2 seconds behind pole position Dennis. He's got some time to make up for, but even if he improves by half a second, that's already 3 places, 4 places gained, potentially even 5. And look who's there. Scottish in 9th place. So the Haas drivers currently not putting up that much of a fight with Williams. Yuri is in 2nd place, of course, but Scottish down in 9th. So Yuri does need his teammate up there if they want to keep the lead of the championship. So this is still looking like a decider in the final race in Japan. So that is very, very interesting. I'm very much looking forward to that one. Divine Eye currently on a fast lap as well. After that miscommunication with his teammate put him way down in 16th. He was not able to improve on that lap. Sparrow now 4.6 seconds down. He does have half of his battery still available. So that means he must have aborted halfway through. He's looking to get a reset lap right here as he spins out. And that's going to cost him a little bit of tire life. And yep, that's another spin right there after turn 1. So that is not going to be a fast lap here, but it will be for Divine Eye. 3.5 tenths quicker currently, and he does need that. 8 tenths to even get 1 position of the Alfa Romeo ahead of Jaspers. So Divine Eye in a bit of trouble down here in 16th place. Does need quite a substantial amount of time, and I assume that's where it went wrong down here in Sector 3, and he will be able to improve. But how much is the question? We're going to find out in just a few seconds. Crossing the line is Divine Eye in the Ferrari, up to 12th place, 1.5 seconds. That is quite an improvement, 17.4. And this means that P1 all the way through P14 is within a second. And that is what I like to call racing. That is what I like to call a strong grid. Momentarily yellow flags in Sector 2 as the drivers are letting each other past. And I don't think that is for a time lap, is it? It is currently not. Maybe for Wazan. No, he's further back. So he made a small mistake, currently choosing to heat up his tires. As we see, is that Touchkey going through there? No, that must be Divine Eye on his in-lap. Touchkey wants to go out again. Thinks second place in the championship is possible. Mookie with a surprise performance, by the way. I completely missed this. Mookie up to 5th place in the Aston Martin. Overall, Aston Martin last place in the standings. 190 points. Just got passed by Alfa Romeo last week. 193. Mookie, 20th in the standings. Currently has 46 points to his name. In 2, 4, 6, that's 7 races. 46 points. Average of about 6.5, 7 points per race that he has entered. Current qualifying position, P5. So this is going to make for an exciting race for him, because he will need the points if he wants to jump up. It's very close at the bottom of the standings. P20 is on 46 and P16 on 61. That's 15 points for 5 positions. As Mookie slows down and abandons his lap. Doesn't think that this one was good enough. And if we look at his ERS, it's completely full. His battery is ready. He's going for the warm-up. And there is a Haas ahead of him. And that is the Haas of Scottish on an outlap. Now Scottish wanting to set a lap. And that might just be Mookie trying to steal it off of him. This is Hamilton Verstappen at the Red Bull ring all over again. Scottish looking to set a lap. But Mookie doing the exact same thing. Going side by side into turn 1. And Mookie spins around. And there he goes all the way off into the gravel trap. And retires from the session. As Scottish goes on. And I don't know if he's able to get the faster lap. And he is 0.08 of a second improvement in Sector 1. Could have been more possibly if Mookie did not try to steal away the glory. Mookie did not look for a space. He was the second driver of the two to start his lap for qualifying. So that means that the default is completely at Mookie for this one. So you can't blame him. It might just be a report from Scottish there going against Mookie, as Yuri sets the fastest time of 15.9. That is 7/10 quicker than Jay Dennis in P2. Currently going slower, so that will not be an improvement on his end. Villiers a little bit faster, but that's not going to be enough. Tintenfish also on a slight improvement, but will it be enough? Villiers currently around Sector 2. Tintenfish up to second place with a 16.5. That's 6/10 difference. Villiers currently fastest Sector 2 from what it looks like. Jay Dennis going into the pits, knows that it's over and knows that there's nothing he can do. Paddy currently around the final corner, wants to set a lap as well. That's maybe a little bit better. Needs a tiny bit. Goes up to P4, which is an insane improvement from him. 4/10 in total. And Servier, 2.5 tenths, puts it on the front row. That's P2 for the Red Bull. And Remix currently going in, which means pole position is for this man, the Dutchman Yuri. Championship leader, championship victor, and is now looking to secure the constructors as well. Looking to start on the front row, first position on the grid for the race around Portimão. And here we have the final classification of the qualifying. Yuri in first place with 5.5 tenths over Villiers in second place. A 15.9, the only sub 1 minute 16, the only car currently in the 1 minute 15. So Villiers lining up in second place. Tintafish and Jay Dennis completing the second row, which is a full Williams second row. Paddy in fifth, Jack sixth, Mookie in seventh, an amazing qualifying for him. Scottish in eighth, which could have been more, unfortunately, with those two in seventh and eighth battling. So it's going to be a great start of the fourth row as well. Tutski in ninth and Jan in 10th place. And that is all within 1.2 seconds. And if you don't count Yuri, that's P2 through P10 in 0.7 seconds. 7 tenths that separate P2 from P10. So the drivers are currently setting up for the start of the race. 33 laps should be around this incredible circuit, which drivers have described as a roller coaster. And it's looking to be cloudy. Unlike the weather that we've seen pretty much all over Europe the past weekend, it's been sunny all over. But here in Portugal, we are seeing clouds, clouds, and more clouds. Interesting choice from the weather, I would say, because no one ever really has a choice of, but interesting scenario that we found ourselves in, with a pretty good chance that there's some rain going to fall. So the drivers all setting up, maybe taking that into account. So the drivers might be cooking at this point. It's taking quite a while for the drivers to all ready up and get onto the grid, get their setups all ready. There's not much they can change from the qualifying setup, as I always say. Only the brake balance, the differential, and I believe the front wing as well. So only small bits that they can change, the drivers can change from qualifying over to the race. Maybe they prefer a little bit of a heavier nose that they can change later on when the car gets lighter in the second half of the race, which does mean a wing replacement, so that's only preferable if you get some damage. And looking at how qualifying went, this is going to be extremely, extremely close. So battling damage might be included. One thing they might have to consider is, like I said before, the weather. It's very easy to hop on the dry setup and do laps and get that time in. But if they don't account for the wet weather, that is possible in every single event, then they might find themselves in trouble when the rain does eventually hit. Hopefully for the drivers it'll stay dry, but hopefully for us as spectators along the line, it will be a bit rainy, and there's going to be a bit of a chance of maybe some alternate strategies using the window, the pit window between dry and wet. It's what they call the crossover period between the two compounds, between the slick tires and the grooved tires. Don't think we're going to see that today, because the last time we had this weather, it was back in Austria, I believe. And we didn't see anything there, as the lights are currently going on with Yuri on pole position, and we're away in Portimão. Yuri gets a very good start. Tintenfish as well already gets second place on the outside of Yuri. Will go defensive. It keeps first place for now. Tintenfish jumps up to second place. Villiers in third, and there's a full course yellow already pulled out, as there's a massive crash in the end, as J. Dennis down in 18th. Waza in 19th, and that must be damage for the Williams. I don't think I can see anything. Virtual safety car so far. Did not even get a chance to look at the tires before all the pace has been neutralized. Yuri still keeping first place. Going to quickly take a look at the change. Jack up 3 places. Villiers dropping down 2. Tintenfish grabbing 1 as well. Jaspars and Marios both gaining 3 places. And J. Dennis dropping down 14 places. Overall, small improvements, and that's because of the big drop from Dennis in the Williams. And the rest mainly all stayed the same. Scottish gaining a spot and Jan getting a spot as we are going live racing again with Yuri. Scottish very awake. Paddy as well. Scottish and Villiers now battling it out. Scottish losing out a bit of the pace. Goes off the track and tries to overtake Villiers right here. You can see the tire compound difference. Scottish will have the inside with the Haas and the better compound, but Villiers takes it around the outside, keeps the pace, and keeps it going. Yuri currently in first place. I'm going to take a quick look at the tire compounds. Jack is on the softs, Villiers on the hards, Remix on the hards, and Marios on the hards as well. Several drivers choosing for the soft and the medium tires. So this is an entirely different strategy for what we've seen before. And Mini turns already 17th place into the pits. So the Aston Martin there getting quite some damage, most likely will replace some parts of their car. Might be involved in the first lap incident. We'll probably see that in some of the replays down at the steward's office. Yuri currently still leading from Tintenfish, and Jan now making moves, battling with Villiers, as the AlphaTauri seems to be going off the track. He gets a 3-second time penalty from multiple warnings already, and he will not be happy with that. Now Tutschke right behind him sees that penalty and thinks, hey, you don't have the grip, I have the grip. Can I please go past? And might look to do some moves. Looking on the inside already, making himself big in that mirror. And Jan will have to go defensive for a couple of corners at least. Or maybe very soon. But Tutschke has Shermanated behind him as well. Cutthroat dropped it back already by a second. As well as Mookie, 1.5 seconds now. Villiers now past Scottish. Scottish holding the inside, trying to get the overtake done, but doesn't seem to be able. I believe Scottish was still behind and Villiers ahead. So that's going to be a good battle here. Scottish looking to do something, but Tintenfish is side by side with Yuri. Has the inside line. Yuri going all the way wide again to get the wider line through turn 1. Does go off track, which means that Tintenfish keeps the inside line and does get the position. But if that was entirely legal, I am quite unsure. Jack still figuring out how to make something out of this as well. Yuri a little bit squirrely on the end. Both drivers have DRS. Jack looking to get some profit out of this. Yuri sends it up in the inside, locks up very deep into the hairpin. Tintenfish going for the switchback, still side by side. Jack not winning out. Yuri and Tintenfish still side by side through all of this. The double right-hander here. Yuri has the inside line, will try and fight to keep that position, keep the lead off of the Williams driver, and does succeed for now. But there's another left-hander coming up, both on equal compound, which means that Yuri and Tintenfish currently on equal ground, and Yuri shows a masterclass in defense, but does slow down the drivers behind him, which means that Paddy currently looking to join the fight as Mini Turns has DNF'd in the pits, and that might be damage from the first lap incident. I'm gonna have a quick look at that in the steward's office after the race, but we'll get to that after all the action has passed, because of course it's another lap. It's another attempt. Tintenfish currently DRS wide open this time around. Jack looking for something as well. Both have the inside line opposed to Yuri. who keeps the outside, and Jack did not get the overtake done. Tintafish did, so we get a new raised lead, and Jack sending it on the inside of turn 2. Well, that's turn 3, I should say, but Yuri still keeping that second place. So Jack, with that soft tire, will be looking to get something done, and as well as Jan, who's on the same tire. Big lockups ahead everywhere in that hairpin, and Jan gets the overtake, but Villiers hits him on the rear. Both drivers go off, hit the sand, and now lose positions to Cutthroat and Shermanator and Divine Eye as well. And Remix is looking to make something out of that as well. And now we see a driver, that's Mookie, retiring from the session as he goes off. I'm unsure if we can see that somewhere. I don't think we can, but he's all the way off on the track and is now down in 17th place. So the surprise performance in qualifying has now DNF'd and will not secure any points for the team. Unfortunately, the soft runners, as Batty is looking to send it up the inside. We're going to talk about the tires, but this overtake just looks way better. And Jack, luckily with the compound, is able to defend. But Batty makes a very, very good statement, showing that the soft runners are not all there is currently. But those tires don't last that long, will drop off sooner than the mediums or the hards. So they want to take as many positions as possible. One of those being Divine Eye, currently in 9th place, as Jan right behind him. Jan and Villiers dropping back several positions after a collision. So this is front runners into the midfield, and that's going to make it very, very difficult for Divine Eye to defend. Both have DRS, but Divine Eye keeping the door open, wants to go around the outside, with Jan holding on the inside, and the overtake is done. Jan back up to 9th place. Does have that 3-second time penalty, but will need to fight for it. Yuri still in 2nd place. Jack in 3rd. Batty had Mookie about 1.5 seconds behind him. Currently has Touchkey 1.5 seconds behind him. The tire that Touchkey is on is the soft. He has open air, clean air, to be able to filter through the traffic and maybe join this battle in the top 3, as Cutthroat and Scottish are now fighting in Sector 3, the final few corners. Scottish will have the inside line, but Cutthroat will have the traction on the exit. But that is not enough to make the overtake happen. Still behind, and there's some more battling right behind, as Shermanator is trying to keep Jan in tow. And Scottish goes into the pits to get a refresh on the tires. He's on the medium, so that must be some damage. Cutthroat keeps Shermanator behind, keeps Jan behind. Almost behind, I should say. Jan going off the track, so if that's completely legal, unsure, but he keeps it behind and keeps it in 8th place. Wants to make another look right around here. We'll have the DRS and the double slipstream, as it looks like only single slipstream, as Shermanator goes towards the inside to defend, but Jan cleanly passed before the braking zone. Breaks very deep, small lockup into the hairpin, but gets 7th place. That's a great recovery so far. Villiers currently stuck in 10th place, not able to get past. So that might just be on tire. That is on tire. Villiers is on the hard compound. Wants to make it last. Currently has a Remix behind him on the same tire. And Jan just cutting through the field currently. This is Paddy, who's currently in 4th, looking to attack Jack. So this is a tire advantage for Jack, who's on the softer compound, but is defending very, very hard against Paddy. Just looking to go a little bit longer. We'll have dirty air to burn down those tires a little bit more. And Jack almost falling out of DRS range. But luckily has about 8/10. Cannot attack. And Paddy is looking to make the moves happen. Cutthroat currently setting the fastest lap. A 1:19.7. That's getting pretty close. A Scottish gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's all the way on his own in Sector 3. On his outlap on the new hards. Might have some damage to the body from some battling earlier on, and is now looking for a clean stint. As Yuri gets a 3-second time penalty as well. He's pushing so hard to get the lead back from Tintafish, but in doing so grabs a 3-second time penalty right to the face. With all this battling going on, Touchkey has slipped back. He is in clean air, does not have any driver in front of him or behind him. Within a second, which is about to change, as Cutthroat is on an amazing pace right now. Does he have the soft tire? He does not. It's Dutchke with the soft tire. So the pace advantage should be for Dutchke. But he's currently dropping further back behind this pack. Currently 2 seconds ahead of him, 1 second behind him. Cutthroat about to enter the DRS. And Jack about to leave it. Paddy looking to make a move happen. Does the AlphaTauri still have the DRS? I believe he did not. This is going to be advantage for Paddy and Yuri. Knows he needs the overtake. Has 4/10, half a second ahead of him. But a 3-second time penalty. Needs to get past. And needs to do something. As there's a yellow flag for Jan, who went off the track. And that looks like damage from another car on the track. That is not from the AlphaTauri. His wing is completely intact. But there appeared to be some debris on the track. Just past the first turn. And that must be some contact. And Jan drops back down, all the way down to 11th. Villiers up to 7th place. Doing a great job at extending the stint while also gaining those positions back. Paddy now very close behind Jack, who does not have the DRS to defend himself from attacks from behind there. If Dutchke as well. Cutthroat. Almost a battle for P5, not just yet. But it will be very close. As it will be here at the front. Want to look at Yuri and Tintenfish. But Paddy is just a tiny bit closer to get the overtake done. Going across the DRS line right now. And will open up that wing. Get the slipstream. Look for something inside Jack leaving the door open. But Paddy not sending it through. Doesn't go for it just yet. As Remix does go for the move. Divine Eye looks for something back. But doesn't get it. Down to P9. And up to P8. As the first rounds of pit have commenced. Jan and Shermanator into the box. Trying to get a new compound, new tire on. Shermanator onto the softs. And Jan from the softs to the mediums. That's not a tire you can take to the end from neither driver. But they will shuffle through. And Scottish passing them just now. So that is a very early pit for him. Which does grant him a little bit of time from the drivers behind. If you look at the gap to leader, I don't know if I can whip that up real quick. What is the button for that? I completely forgot. But if you look at the gap from Scottish to Tintenfish, that means that Scottish will be behind by quite an amount by the time that the leaders are going to pit. So he needs quite some time still to make up for that. Currently Paddy is still very close. Is closer than he was on any previous attempt. Will open up that wing. Jack still does not have the DRS to defend. Lap 10 heading into turn 1. But Paddy does not go for it. That's only 2/10 that he had at the exit of the final corner. And it's just that little bit more that he gets on the top speed. But it's just not enough. As Divine Eye passes Remix again in the same fashion that he got overtaken earlier on. And gets P8 back from the Mercedes driver. This is a battle in the constructors, but it has a 90 points deficit. 9-0. Cutthroat and Dutchke now side by side. Cutthroat did get the overtake over Dutchke, who is in the softer compound, but might just have burned his tires a little bit early, or might have been involved in some early battling. It gave him a tiny bit of damage perhaps, and now puts him at a disadvantage and down to P6. Would need an amazing performance to get that P2 off of Tronzik in the Drivers' Championship, but unfortunately gets overtaken. And this battle between Ferrari and the McLaren is still on in the Drivers' Championship. 13 points between the two teams, as Jack is now looking to defend hard, but the soft tires are gone and he goes into the pits. And Paddy takes P3. And Jack gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So that is going to be very sour for him. Cutthroat is going to enter the DRS of Paddy. So like I said, McLaren and Ferrari currently 13 points separated in the standings. Dutchke and Divine Eye 5th and 7th respectively. And Cutthroat and Marios 4th and 10th. Cutthroat is a reserve driver who's currently taking the place of Mihu, who is 11th in the standings. So I would say that Cutthroat's doing an amazing job to reserve right now. And really showing off what that McLaren car can do. Currently 13 points, like I said, separate the two. Leading from Ferrari, but currently looks like Ferrari will take home a bit more points. Spanios is currently 11 seconds behind Remix. Down in P9, which gives him quite a bit of points. But also a big gap to be able to get some more further ahead. Yuri's still in second place. Has that 3-second time penalty. We're going to take a quick look at what tire Jack went on to. He went on to the mediums. Lap 11 from soft to mediums. Does he think he can make them last to the end? Should think a track like Portimão, it's a very taxing track for the tires. Lots of elevation changes, off-camber corners. Tires are going to be degrading so fast. Very fast corners as well. If you look at sector 3, the final corner, absolute burner of the tires. So you might think a medium hard or a soft to hard would be the preferable strategy, but a soft to mediums. Will we see will we finally see the clean two-stop that I wished for before the race started? Or maybe the hard tire just doesn't run as fast as the drivers want them to. But if you look at the current tires, Fourier in 6th place, ahead of the Vinay, ever so slightly, half a second separate the two, but he is ahead, and that's even after a contact with Jan earlier on, which sent him tumbling all the way outside of the top 10, and now back up to P6. Some of that will be from pit stops, but most of it is on pace. If you look at the Vinay, not part of any pit stops or incidents, and Villiers is just cleanly ahead on pace. The Vinay will make a look for it though, as he's left the Remix behind and does go into the pits, so no looks from him. Cutthroat is the one who's looking. P4, right behind the Mercedes of Paddy. Very much looking for that overtake into turn 1. Just doesn't get it done just yet, and that puts Tutschke in a very good position. Is still on the softs, wants to maybe make it run a little bit longer as Cutthroat tries to go around the outside of the Mercedes. Does make it work and gets the position. A very beautiful overtake there from the McLaren. Has the compound difference over the car behind, but not Paddy. And that was like for like. A very good job from Cutthroat to put McLaren up to P3. As Paddy doesn't actually take that. Wants to put his nose up on the inside. Does so. Small contact. No damage. Looks like. And Paddy unable to take the position. But Tutschke has now joined the battle as well. It's getting really close between these three. Heading down to the final corner. Paddy. Very close. But we've seen the DRS make absolutely zero difference between some drivers, so that might be setup related. And Paddy this time around does go on the inside. Cutthroat leaving the door open, and turn 1 is completely in the hands of Paddy, who does take P3 back from the McLaren, which leaves Tutschke very aggressive right behind Cutthroat and looking to get that position as well. Cutthroat going slightly defensive, having a little bit of a look from Tutschke. And it's definitely on between these three. Yuri is still holding second place, right behind Tintenfish. And the battling of these three drivers have dropped them back about 4.5 seconds now. So Tintenfish in first, Yuri in second, Paddy down in third. Cutthroat and Tutschke right behind as well. So just a second between Paddy and Tutschke. So if Cutthroat does decide to pit, which would be weird, he's not the one to pit at first. Most likely will be Tutschke to pit first. And the Vinay is currently past Jan. And they're fighting, they're side by side actually. Jan taking back that position. The Vinay almost going wide, but holds it very slightly. And Jan is now ahead in P11. But there's the Vinay with the send. does make it work for now. Left-hander coming up, so Jan will have the advantage with the outside line, still holding his nose inside, and this is very, very close. And it's for P11. We got some more fighting further back, and that's a collision between Tutschke and Cutthroat. And Tutschke gets a 5-second penalty from that, from a severe collision with Cutthroat. Will have his wing broken, and Cutthroat looks to have a little bit of damage himself, maybe on the side, a small scratch from what it looks like. And Tutschke a little bit more, and Paddy just running away with it. 4 seconds gained from that incident. Completely missed my view. I thought they were just going side by side on the DRS and maybe just battling it out, but that collision completely unexpected. So we're looking down at P11, P10 and P12 as Scottish has suddenly joined the fight, gone in between the two. And now it's Jan in 10th, Scottish 11th, and Divine Eye in 12th place. But if we look at the penalties, you see that Scottish has got 6 seconds worth of track limit penalties. Jan, 3 seconds. The Divine Eye knows these two positions right ahead of him are his if they were to finish like this. Halfway through the race, and Yuri finally sends it down into turn 1. Tintafish looks to still keep it in, but doesn't. Backs out and takes P2. So Yuri winning out on this battle once again and reclaiming the lead of the Portugal Grand Prix. But Tintafish not yet done. Yuri showing him the door, locks up into the hairpin. Still keeps that first position. Yuri does know he has that 3-second time penalty for track limits from pushing to get the lead back, and will need to pull a gap or make some strategy changes, as Scottish has retired from the session in the pits. And that is an unfortunate end of his race for this week, as well as Jay Dennis. So that's 5 retirements for today already. Divine Eye sends it up to Jan. I'm taking a little bit of water to get the throat all hydrated again. You should probably too. And there's so much battling going on. Jan still on the inside, has the defensive moves around here, but breaks a bit too early, and Divine Eye will very much take that opening. And Jan now has trouble because there is Shermanator right behind him looking for the moves, and there is a yellow flag in sector 1, and that appears to be from Scottish, who just exited the pits, just DNF'd. And Shermanator looking to join in on this battle as well. Has he stopped yet? Oh, he has actually, very early on. And Jack currently first of the stoppers, which means that if we look at the pits currently, that is going to be around 9. Yeah, that might actually look like Jack is in first place currently if Yuri and Tintafish were to pit right now. Shermanator has the DRS open. Divine Eye looking to go defensive. Doesn't need to in the end. Jan not sending it. And he goes a bit wide there, which opens up some chances for Shermanator to get very, very close. There's another DRS zone right up here. Soft compound, bit of an advantage, but they seem to be burned out for some drivers. But not for Shermanator. Going up to the hairpin. Jan going defensive. Not enough speed for Shermanator to get past. And will stay in 11th. And this battle for 9th currently will continue. Jan getting another 3-second time penalty in this battle. Has 6 seconds to his name now. Which will go against him towards the end of the race. So the dust has settled a tiny bit around here. As Villiers goes into the pits. Divine Eye now pulling away. Jan might be on the end of his tires. Shermanator should be as well. So Villiers on the soft, entering the pits, and this might be a call for Shermanator to look for it as well, but he's extending this soft run so long, which is an incredible job from him, looking on the inside as well. So with these very old softs, does get an overtake done, up into P10, goes the Alpine of Shermanator. So the prediction was that these soft tires would be gone very early on, but luckily there's one man who knows how to nurse them, and that is Shermanator. A very good first stint, going defensive into the hairpin. Does hold on to it ever so slightly. Jan still side by side. Does get a little bit of a push in. Elbows out. And he does get the position. So Shermanator losing out on that battle. Jan keeping it steady there. Getting 10th place. Tintafish very close behind Yuri. Yuri did make the send into turn 1. Which Tintafish currently not doing so. We saw it before. 2 tenths not enough. 2.5 tenths not enough to make the move happen down into turn 1. So even with Tintafish having that DRS, it'll set up the bendant of course. But it looks like the DRS just is not strong enough on the main straight. Cutthroat is currently in the pits looking to get a new set of tires. And we're going to see what he goes on to. And it's a soft tire. So that is a clean soft for Cutthroat. Currently right behind his teammate who's been on these tires from the start. So that is a very daring guess from Cutthroat. Definitely looking like Team Horde is here as he goes through, to be expected as well. Looking to take the fight to the cars ahead. On the softs, might want to make them last towards the end. Took his first set all the way to lap 18, or lap 19 I should say. And currently needs 15 laps out of the softs, which is definitely possible because we are currently seeing Shermanator do it in 11th place. I believe that is from this. Oh, that's only 10 laps old. I thought that was from the start, but it's not. He must have gone from the mediums on very early. So that was completely my mistake. Completely missed that. But even so, that's a very good guess there. And Tintafish is currently in. Yuri as well. So we're going to see who's got the better stop. And as Jack pulls through, and Yuri, currently 4th place, had a slower stop from what it looks like. And the gap has increased. The gap has increased ever so much. And Jack is currently leading the race with a Remix right behind. 14 laps remain. And Tintafish and Yuri have some gaps to catch. 5.5 seconds for Tintafish. 5 seconds for Yuri. That's even more with a little bit extra of the penalties. Jack currently has a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane during his pit stop. His first pit stop. Which means that will go against him at the end of the race. Or he needs to make a 5-second gap to be able to secure that first position from Remix. And that would be very, very good for AlphaTauri. Currently 7th in the standings. Jack personally 18th with 56 points. Right behind Spongy from the Aston Martin and Shermanator in the Alpine. So this is going to be very, very good for him if he does manage to finish higher up in the standings of this race. Remix currently going into the pits. He hasn't stopped yet. Wait, but that puts it onto its head entirely. Remix hadn't stopped yet. Oh, it's on the hards. We'll go on to the softs as well to join Tintafish and Yuri on that compound. This puts Remix completely out of contention. For the win at least. And that puts it on Tintafish, who's already gained a full second. So Jack will have to put up a very strong defense if he wants to keep this place. But if you look at the gaps between Jack and Tintafish, that was about 5.5 seconds, currently 4. Between Tintafish and Yuri was about 5, now 3.8. Trailing, like gaining just as much on Tintafish as Tintafish is on Jack, which means that Yuri is gaining so much compared to the front runners. Compared to Jack. And it's just immense pace followed from an amazing qualifying from the Haas driver. Fourier, very close to Cutthroat. Cutthroat does get 4th position out of this. So that's a few positions gained from him. Will have a little bit of a gap to create because of that time penalty that he's got from track limits earlier on. And Fourier and Paddy currently looking to make a little bit of trouble for him. As Tintafish now sets the fastest lap, 18.8. Yuri is matching that at least. Paddy on the inside now, 3 wide, going across the line into turn 1. Not far enough just yet, so Cutthroat does keep it for now. Paddy gets a position off of Villiers, but not of Cutthroat. The McLaren still in P4. Paddy looking for a little bit more out of that. DRS will have another one right here into the hairpin. Cutthroat looks to get a bit defensive, goes back onto the racing line as he is entitled to, and very much allowed to do. Keeps 4th position. Good defense there. Paddy not going for the send just yet. We'll have a look somewhere later once he knows what Cutthroat is doing. And Tintafish, look at the pace. Currently right behind, and there's a DNF from Shermanator. That's not Shermanator DNFing, is it? That's Shermanator going to the pits. That's Jan DNFing in 14th now. Shermanator going in, and yes, he is retiring now as well. So that is very, very unfortunate. But if you look at Tintafish, within a second now of Jack, that's an incredible pace difference. Yuri dropped back a little bit further. And Tintafish now through. Jack just let him go. We saw before that the DRS was worth not even a few tenths. And Cutthroat, Paddy now fighting. Cutthroat off the track. Paddy gets the position. Cutthroat looking to fight back. Sticks his nose down on the inside of turn 3. Will have the outside line. Doesn't get the place back. Very good fight put up here, but we'll have the DRS now. Very defensive from Paddy into the hairpin. Will he lock up or not? It's very clean so far, but there is Villiers. Looking to add a little bit of a touch to the McLaren's rear side, and that is a bit of ghosting. Might be connection issues there from the McLaren. Some jump around a tiny bit, and Villiers takes off that 5th place. So that might have been connection issues from the McLaren, who is looking to get the position back. Sticks his nose on the inside once again, but doesn't get it. Needs to have more speed throughout the corner. Doesn't make it happen. Villiers keeps 5th place as we're entering the third and the last third of the race. Yuri catching up to Jack as well at a rapid pace. Still 4.5 seconds between him and the victory. 4.5 plus that 3-second penalty that he's got currently, which makes it about 8 seconds. Villiers now sending it on the inside. Will get the position. And Paddy looking for something back. Sticks his nose back in. Doesn't give up just yet. Will keep P4. And now it's a prime position for Cutthroat to do something with this as well. Another DRS zone. Will Paddy go defensive or not? We'll find out in just a moment. He will. And Villiers is looking to go around the outside. Opening the door for Cutthroat a little bit further on. Paddy still keeping that P4 very, very beautifully. And there is a switch in positions between the two teammates. That is Touchkey and Divine Eye. They've had a bit of trouble earlier on in the season with some contact. Currently, looked like that overtake went very smooth. And it's all to defend from Remix. Currently in 9th place. So Divine Eye dropping back further and further. Doesn't look like he has the pace. Remix now getting really, really close. Might just have the overtake done on the back straight. Wants to get it done sooner. Is looking very aggressive there. Making himself known in the mirror the entire time. Gets a good traction out of here. Going into the final corner. Does a switch back. And he gets the overtake done before the final corner even happens. That's a beautiful overtake. As Jack is battling with Yuri. And it looks like some positions were swapped on the back straight. Yuri currently in 3rd place. Does need the overtake. And Jack going slightly defensive. Yuri with the wing, breaking very late. Has a lockup, but gets the position from Jack. So Yuri in 2nd place needs 5 seconds of time gain. Then passing Tintafish. And then pulling a 3-second gap, which might just be impossible. But never say never. We are talking about Yuri. So that's going to be a tight battle. Remix and Divine Nine are swapping positions as they're going through the 2nd sector. Remix still keeping 8th place. This has returned to him after Divine Nine did get a small pass off of him. But the Mercedes looking a tiny bit stronger now. And Touchkey able to pull away. So that might have been a diversion tactic from Ferrari to get Remix further behind, because Tutschke does have a penalty to his name currently. Looks like Jack is going back to the pits as he gets a 5-second penalty for speeding. And that ruins his chances of getting any sort of good points. Villiers now getting 3rd place. Back off of Paddy, using that DRS. Paddy nothing to defend. And will have to take 4th place. Villiers through. Cutthroat still chasing very close. Does have the penalty as well. This battle's not for his positions. But he does like to make some action happen on the screen. Yuri currently not able to catch up to Tintenfish. This might be in the books for Williams. And it's 1 versus 1 for those two teams, as well as in the standings. Because Scottish is out and Dennis is out as well. So Haas and Williams now 1 versus 1. 5-point difference on the results as it stands right now, which means that instead of the 34-point difference, it's 29 points difference between the two drivers. Or between the two teams, I should say. Really hoping there's not too much more action, because I'm almost through my water. There's been too much to commentate about. Too much to yell about, I should say. Too much action going on. Villiers not able to defend from the DRS, but Cutthroat looking to make it. 2 overtakes done. The ends up not sticking there, but Villiers making small contact with Paddy, it looked like. Trying to keep that position, which gives him a small gap in front of him. Will have the DRS right now to defend. No, he does not. So that's outside of a second already on the detection point. And Cutthroat able to attack. Has the inside, and it's contact between the Red Bull and the McLaren. And this allows Paddy to run away. Cutthroat and Villiers still side by side through it all. And Villiers keeping that position for now. Cutthroat really looking offensive and gets that position off of the Red Bull, going into the middle half of the second sector. That's a very, very beautiful battle through there. And that does allow Paddy to run away, currently in 3rd place. This is still for the net 3rd place for a podium position. And Paddy might just run away with it from the looks of it. Yuri slightly chasing Tintenfish. Has gained a second over the past 4 or 5 laps, which unfortunately is not going to be enough. And the only big battle we've got going on right now is Villiers in 5th place, looking to get that podium position. Needs to Cutthroat to go out of the way, but the DRS just is not strong enough. And he does get a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That is track limits, and that ruins all of his chances. That puts him like for like with Cutthroat, I believe. Oh, never mind. Cutthroat is 8 seconds of penalties. But that does make it more and more difficult for him to get through to Paddy. Only 2 seconds ahead. But he'll need 5 seconds to get that podium position. And he only has 5 more laps. And I don't think he has the pace. So that means that unless Paddy makes some kind of mistake, because Villiers also needs to go past Cutthroat. But that McLaren's looking feisty. This entire race is looking feisty. It doesn't look like Villiers is able to pick up that podium position. Currently in 7th place. Has done phenomenally in the standings. Will overtake Scottish, but will not overtake Paddy. Remix is down in 7th place as well in the standings. He is 4th. So this is going to be very close as well in the end, because Remix 21 points behind Tutschke in the standings. So the battle that Divine Eye and Remix had a little bit earlier might just be very crucial for the championship standings in the end, to see who takes home that 3rd place. Tutschke currently in 6th, meaning that all of his chances of getting 2nd place are out of the window. So 3rd place is the maximum he will be able to get out of the standings. Jack now gets another 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. And that does put him in the window to drop back another position to Rios. He's currently in 9th place in the standings. 2 points behind Tintafish, who will get quite a big amount of points after this event. That does put Rios in a favorable position against the other competitor that's close, and that's Jan, who is 10th in the standings. So that does give him a small advantage going into that final round, as I think, if my eyes are not betraying me, that looks like rain. Final few laps, and it looks like it's raining. It finally happened. We have rain in one of the sunnier countries, stereotypically, of the world. We get rain. And Cutthroat and Paddy do not look happy. Paddy's already dropped back a tiny bit. Cutthroat back to the DRS, and Villiers might just be able to capitalize on this. If he has chosen for a little bit more of a stable setup, he might be able to catch up. But we saw the DRS with the slipstream, not enough to do anything on the main straight. And there's already drivers into the pits. That's Divine Eye into the pits. He's already going on to the intermediates. And Jack and Rios are as well. If you look at the tires, they will be going on to the intermediates as well. And this early call from Divine Eye might just give him a small advantage here on these final few laps if the rest goes in as well. And all eyes go to the front. The track is starting to get wet. The track is starting to get very, very wet. And Tintafish might go in, might stay out. This is going to be a big gamble. The spray is pretty big. And Jaspars gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That might just be the wet weather messing up what he does. And yes, he does go in. DRS is disabled, which is generally the cause for drivers to go in and change to the wet tires. Everyone going in. And there's one driver staying out. That's Villiers. Villiers staying out. Paddy's got a 5-second penalty for speeding. Villiers is staying out and takes the lead of the race. And Tintafish is currently still in the box. So that's quite a big lead that he has. But he needs to survive. And with survive, I mean survive 3 laps on the soft compound compared to on the medium compound, on the slicks, compared to the intermediate runners behind him. He does have the temperature, but it will drop very, very quickly. And he needs 9 seconds he needs 9 seconds. That's all he's able to lose over the next 2.5 laps. He's losing out so much already, but this is a big, big gamble. And originally, he's not even fighting with Tintafish. He was fighting with Paddy and Cutthroat, who are not even 9 seconds behind that. So that is a big, big chance for Villiers to grab major points out of this if he's able to keep it on track. Portimão, not one of the easier tracks. Definitely not one of those. And making it wet is going to make it even more difficult. But doing it on the softs, that is a task and a half. Tintafish already gained so much. Currently 5.5 seconds behind the Red Bull. And it looks like Villiers is gambling, but he's put it all on red. Williams now creeping in. You can already see him on the screen. It was 12 seconds exiting the pits. That's very squirrely on the rear there. Very unsettled from that Red Bull. And that is just the slick compound on a wet track. So the gap, the pace difference between Villiers and Tintafish is, I would say, about 12 seconds a lap. And the Williams has already pulled up. And Villiers can do nothing but let him through. And there's Yuri catching up as well. We are just watching this Red Bull drop back and drop back. This Remix, one of the drivers still fighting for something. There's caution in Sector 1 that might have been from Rios, or is that Cutthroat? That was Cutthroat. Going a bit sideways, Villiers now dropping back. Currently 3rd place as Yuri has taken him. And now, this is where the battle begins. There's a 12-second pace difference, and Paddy is about 12 seconds behind. 1.5 laps to go, and this is where it gets scary. Cutthroat coming through. Paddy has dropped back. Cutthroat needs to overtake Sir Villiers and take a 3-second gap to be able to call himself a podium sitter here at Portimão. The pace difference is insane. It's slicks versus intermediates on a wet track. But the Red Bull is still doing it. 1 lap to go. And it's going to be very, very close. Approaching a driver is one thing, overtaking is another. And I know it's softs, of its mediums, it's slicks versus the intermediate tires versus the groove tires. There's practically nothing they can do. 6.5 seconds now. But he still has a chance, and that is worth something. On the final lap, Tintafish leading Yuri. Dutchke now passed Paddy. Paddy looks to be having connection issues or disconnected. Is now dropping back down into 7th place. And I'm sorry, Tintafish, but I have to watch what happens to Villiers. 3.5 seconds now. But Cutthroat needs to get past, and then another 3 seconds advantage if he wants to be able to take that 3rd position home. Taking it very, very careful with that Red Bull, but still needs to get the most pace possible. Only a second separate them now. And it will be clean work from the McLaren. Will be held up just a tiny bit. Goes on the outside and on the straight, already passed because of that incredible pace difference that the wet tire has, obviously. And now needs to make a 3-second gap. Already has 1 of the 3 seconds. And Villiers can only hope to get a little bit more traction, which he does not. And gaps increased a little bit too much. Tintafish now rounding the final corner and makes himself the winner of the Portimão Grand Prix. Yuri in 2nd place. Cutthroat will take home 3rd place, as Villiers not able to hold up his end of the gamble. Makes the gap more than 3 seconds. So Villiers will take home 4th place, which is still an amazing result. And an incredible gamble there. Dutchke in 5th place will drop down 1 position from Remix because of that 6-second time penalty he has to his name. Remix in 5th place, finishing. Divine Eye around the final corner as well will take home 7th place. That's 6th and 7th for Ferrari. Doing a great job to counter Red Bull's 4th place from today. Marios in 8th. Jack in 9th. Makes a little bit of a show there going across the line. Paddy down in 10th. Sparrow will take home 11th. And then we have Jaspars in 12th place. All of these drivers will be receiving points. So that is an amazing job for all of them. Keeping it clear in the rain. All the DNFs happened during the dry part of the race. Paddy unfortunately down to 10th place. Williams look to be extending the lead over the Mercedes team in the Constructors' Championship. And Tintafish, a proud victor of the Portimão Grand Prix here in Portugal. Round 13 is all concluded, and that only means we have 1 more round to go. Next week we have a race at Suzuka, 1-shot qualifying, which means a 1 lap, giving it all you have for that pole position, and then a sprint race followed by a 50% feature race. Tintafish ascending like he has ascended during this race. His battle with Yuri all throughout, completely chaotic, but absolutely entertaining, if anything. Cutthroat taking home 3rd place after a gamble from Villiers. Not working out, unfortunately. But still a 4th place. Very respectable for such a big gamble. Next week, I'll see you all again at Suzuka for the final round of the championship, where we are able to crown the Constructors' Champion. I'll reserve a little spreadsheet for you all to see who takes the lead in what scenario. Will it be Haas? Will it be Williams? Or will it even be Mercedes? There is a chance Mercedes will take the championship. But we'll all see that next week. For today, we're all done, all wrapped up. I want to thank you all so much for watching and supporting. My name is Olaf, aka Wops Racing. I've been your commentator for tonight. You can find me on wopsracing.com, and I will see you next week.